Man, I love that intro. It's always so much fun, right? Welcome, everybody, for another session of our Demystifying AI series. So we're going to shake it up a little bit today. For one, if you notice, there's only 3 of us in the studio, and then there's a talking head off to the side there. So we'll go ahead and start with, once again, introductions. I'm Will Dowling. I'm a product marketing manager here at ConnectWise, and I get to host this wonderful thing.
Keith Sartain, I'm Senior Director of IT for ConnectWise. Been here about 6 years.
And I'm Kyle Jackson. I am responsible for the ConnectWise Innovation Lab here at ConnectWise.
And this talking head is Jay Ryerse, VP here at ConnectWise.
And futurist. All right, so let's kick the series off today, guys. I want to talk a little bit about just current events. Like, let's kind of kick this off. Let's talk about what's got you excited this week in AI. Keith, let's start with you.
Yeah, I don't think anybody that follows AI, there's breaking news all the time. That the latest thing is a phantom model that showed up on a leaderboard site of that measures the quality of LLMs by having people rate the answers against each other. And there's a new model called GPT-2. I think it's no mystery what it really is. It's one of OpenAI's in the works models, their GPT Next model that they probably put out there just to get feedback and to see how it rated against other people, or maybe to build buzz. But I think we always anticipated that will be coming out in June timeframe. Even OpenAI has not committed to whether they call their next model GPT 4 dot something or 5 dot something. But we anticipate that potentially next month. If it's out on a leaderboard and letting people interact with it, it's probably already done all its safety checks and the critical things it needs. So this is probably pre-release. It does very well.
All right. So tell us about how well it does. I'm so excited about this.
Yeah, it's got it's beating everybody at everything. So you do head to head against Claude and all the other guys. It even, I saw it do a math Olympiad. It passed some of the very tough questions of the math Olympiad. Its reasoning is better, which is something we anticipated since the rumors of last fall of a breakthrough in how OpenAI might do reasoning. Maybe that's built into this. Almost certainly is. But it's a very high performing model. Code is really good. I would expect anybody, maybe June timeframe, that we'll see something from OpenAI, and either before or about the same time, we should expect things like the Microsoft equivalents, GitHub Copilot, those type of things to get that code also. So very big news. Lots of anticipation over that. I think GPT people have been catching up for maybe 6 months, and they haven't released a model in a while. This is the big one, and I think there's been a lot of massaging to get it right, and I think we're all excited to see what that holds for us.
It's Sam Altman himself said, quote, he's a big fan of GPT-2, whatever that means.
Yeah, I don't GPT-2. They technically have a GPT-2, which came before 3. Imagine that, and 3.5, which ChatGPT was built on, and 4, which everything is built on now. But this is GPT without the dash, and like next gen or something, or just something to throw up a smoke screen. I don't think anybody's fooled about what it really is.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Kyle, what's got you excited this week, man?
Oh man, I don't know if excited is the right term, but our buddies over at NIST have been pretty busy the last couple months. They released just a couple days ago the NIST AI 600-1 framework. So this is
that sounds fun.
Yeah, I mean, they get right to the point when they name these things. But this is, in its general function, is just like every other framework. How do I measure risk against a given technology, and in this instance AI specifically? And they carve out elements of Gen AI for this document. So it's worth the read. It's definitely heavy from a it's what you would expect from NIST. Like, Jay, I mean, come on. If you're sitting at home on a Saturday night, you're having a hard time getting to sleep, you bust out some NIST framework documentation, and that's what. But I mean, there's a reason. A family friend used to say, for every dumb rule or every dumb law that exists, somebody did something stupid. Well, NIST is there to protect us and help us protect us from ourselves. So as there's 50 pages of suggestions, 50 pages of actions for managing the risk, which is crazy. And then they've outlined 12 risks. And I will tell you from it, it's everything that you would expect, everything that we've talked about, everything that you've read about AI, but they carve it out in a documentation that's from the government. And it helps us to kind of have a singular discussion now around some of these risk points and how we manage it. So it's definitely worth a read. Please take a look at that. I didn't share the link with the program people, but we'll make sure to post it so that you have easy access to it. Pretty good stuff, though.
Yeah, Kyle, I'm excited about that. I think that's a big step for us. I'm a little disappointed you didn't share the link to me and ask me where I was on reading through it. I'm just, how can that possibly be?
Jay, because I already have you cloned with an AI, and I just asked your bot. I asked the JBot, and it gave me your opinion. It was great. It's quite well put together. Good job.
JBot, can we trademark that now?
Yeah.
Love it. So speaking of Jay, what's got you excited this week?
I'm working on some new content for our IT Nation Evolved community next week. And you've seen some of the things that we're working towards. And I'm looking not only at, where we are as an industry, but also where we're going. So that futurist, comment you made earlier is kind of where my head's been all week. And we've been tying it to some of the jobs to be done, conversations around the work that the individual personas inside of a business, an MSP, a TSP do, but also just all businesses. So the impact to finance, impact to a service organization, to sales, and of course marketing, and seeing what's possible today in our world to help drive improvement is fascinating. And so actually, I'm going to call out, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to ask Jessica, who is behind the scenes on these campaigns, to join us for a minute.
I love it. Let's call her out. Hello.
Hello. Well, isn't this fun to get to join you on the screen this time instead of just being behind the scenes?
We're just going to keep dragging you out from behind the scenes.
You are the brains behind some of the things we're doing, right?
Some. I think you four hold most of the brains.
So I'm going to ask the question, Will. I'm taking the MC role from you for just a moment, so that Jessica and I can talk. So Jessica, from a marketing perspective, and you're obviously involved with social media, things that we're doing like this live stream, where have you been using AI to streamline the work that you do?
Yeah, I use AI on a daily basis, actually. So I think this is really proof of concept that it's not just for a specific person or subset of people in a company. I use it heavily for marketing. So everything from, brainstorming ideas with colleagues, getting a head start on writing content, just helping me create something. I think one important piece to note is, AI isn't perfect, so you always have to proofread. So it really serves as a starting point in almost everything I do. That's just sort of the written piece, but maybe the most effective or impactful way I'm using AI right now is taking live streams such as this one, downloading transcripts, and then using AI, I'm able to repurpose it into video clips, into articles, into blogs, into individual content for social copy. So that's been a really, really impactful piece for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I've been using it too to help write some of our content, build out frameworks for the training I'm going to do next week and what the playbooks look like. Everything from grabbing sample company policies around using AI, all the way through helping build the frameworks to present and what it looks like. And so there's so many areas where any business can use it, but really in the TSP space where we can all drive value. And so, Jessica, thanks for jumping on and sharing that. It's a great perspective to see how our partners can leverage it just like we do here at ConnectWise. So thanks for your time.
Yeah, of course. I think that the biggest thing for our partners to keep in mind is that we're all trying to boost efficiency, and we all don't have unlimited resources. So anytime you can do more with less, that's what makes the biggest impact. And AI is helping us do that. So thanks for letting me jump on this conversation for a few minutes. If you need me, I'll be here. I'm excited to hear all of the exciting things that you're sharing with us today.
Love it.
So Will, and really Kyle, I know it's hard because we're got some time delays here on the audio, but Kyle, how do our partners use it? What does it look like for our partners today using a tool like ConnectWise Sidekick? Can you show that? Because I think there's more going on than people realize, and I think they should see how they could use it in their roles today.
Yeah, sure. Happy to show it. So, Jess, if you don't mind bringing that up. So I've actually got it running on my phone, and for giggles, right? Look, just to prove we're live, right? This isn't a video. So
What could go wrong?
I'm going to ask
go
it,
wrong.
show me my day. So here, Sidekick is tied into a demo environment back in our environment, but here are all the tickets that I have assigned to my profile, which, by the way, I'm authenticated and logged into Sidekick as me, the user. So it knows what I have access to. It knows what I'm allowed to see, what I'm not allowed to see. All the permissions follow me through, which is great. But like, I can come in and see, well, let's just, for example, I'm in the morning, I'm grabbing coffee, Jay, as most individuals do. They start the day with coffee. I just want to review and see, hey, what's happening in my day. I might say, hey, show me my day. And then in this instance, I'm going to grab a ticket. And to be fair, I actually clicked it twice. So here I'm getting it twice. But here's information on this given ticket. I get all the basic information I need. In this instance, you know what, I want to have it summarized. So let me just get a quick synopsis of this ticket's got 5 or 6 entry points from a couple different people. So let me just get a quick overview. So here, again, I'm in line waiting for coffee. I might read this through and to kind of understand, again, I've got the issue, the impact, and then the conversation between the end user and my support agent. So there's a lot of back and forth here, and it captures it, pretty succinctly. That's valuable, right? It saves me time. It gets me, to the heart of the issue quickly. Lets me skip right to go. So by the time I might respond on this ticket, and I can just scroll back up and maybe, add a note myself, add some time, make a recommendation, change the priority, flip the board, whatever I can do quickly here on the fly, right here inside of Teams. On my phone.
That's exciting, right? That's the kind of stuff that if I'm a tech or I'm an engineer or I'm a dispatch, I think it makes it easier for my team. So having been a business owner of an MSP, let's talk about it from a money perspective, a finance perspective. What can you tell me about our numbers, or those kinds of things?
Yeah, so let's look real fast. Finance. And to be fair, I could have typed it out, but I'm lazy. Or efficient. I'm efficient. Maybe that's the better way to put this. So, one of the cool things that we're doing here, we're not just looking at, hey, I can bring you invoice information. I can bring you ticket information. I can repurpose data we already have inside PSA and other products right back to you. But we're leveraging AI, so I can ask it to summarize invoices. I can ask it to give me insights, which is different from summarizing, and it's going to look for trending information across clients.
Let's dig into that a little bit.
Well, what I actually want to show you is predictive invoices. So this is taking my history of invoices and saying, hey, based off of my history of invoices over a period of time, what does it look like for me over the next 3 months? Based off, so it's taking several different factor points in here. So it is giving me the ability, and I wish I could zoom in here, but Teams doesn't allow me to zoom. But giving me the ability to look at month 5, month 6, and month 7, and what the projected invoice amounts would be for my given business lines. That's so awesome. pretty slick, pretty easy. You could
I love it.
As you become more familiar with these little functions and these little bots and these little capabilities inside, you'll pull it into your meetings. Jay, I can't imagine not sitting in a quarterly review or a forecasting review and saying, all right, what are we looking at? And not using something like this to help drive that discussion.
Yeah, and thinking about it from a growth perspective, like I'm looking at these numbers, they're increasing, that's good. But now as the owner, I might go to my sales leaders and say, hey guys, the numbers are trending the right direction, but what can we do? What do you need from me to amplify that? Maybe it's a marketing conversation, maybe it's others, but you're giving me that predictive information. And by the way, I'm at the coffee shop too. I'm just 2 people behind you. Can you go ahead and buy my double espresso?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll take care of it. Yeah, don't worry about it. We got you. Yeah, there's so many opportunities, and that's why Sidekick is exciting. And again, we don't mean this to be a commercial for ConnectWise AI and what we're doing. But there's when it comes, and I've said this before, when it comes down to the opportunities in front of us and our partners and streamlining their efficiencies, we've got a lot of data. We've got a lot of opportunities to kind of cut through some of the noise and drive real insights back to the business, so that you can make better decisions, make them quicker, have insights that you otherwise would be difficult to get to. We're streamlining those efforts for you.
Yeah. Honestly, what I'm kind of excited about on that is the visual graph. That's nice.
Yeah.
As someone who can look at a wall of numbers and just flatline, be like, oh, those are numbers. This is really useful.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it.
And right now we're looking at teams.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say it won't just be teams,
Yeah.
right? And it won't have limitations to teams, but this was a place to start for, so it's great.
It's interesting,
Yeah.
Kyle, because I can look at this now and start thinking about all the other questions I want to ask and get the data out in a way that matters for me, right? Without having to go point, click, and build reports and automate these things. But it kind of talks about the predictive capability of where we're headed with AI, where my use case and my role and persona is one thing, Jess's is another, Keith's is a different. And we can all look at this technology and use the capabilities of Sidekick and other AI assistants like Microsoft Copilot to get answers. And it brings up a great conversation, because Keith, your team gave me access to Copilot inside of our organization. And of course, I know that our InfoSec team and your team work together to secure it. And I know this because I asked a question of our Copilot at a partner event a few weeks ago. I don't know if you heard about this or not.
Tell us. I love this story.
So I am about to spill the beans on something I did, and I took some risk. Kyle's probably going to cringe a little bit, but I was at an event with a bunch of partners, and we were walking through, and I was live showing how I was using Microsoft Copilot, because they hadn't ever really seen it before. And I was using it to look up old files and projects I've worked on and to gather that data, like where is it in our world? Was it an email? Was it a chat? Was it in SharePoint? Was it in my OneDrive? I can't keep up with these things anymore. There's so much of it. And so I'm asking questions. I'm getting back data on projects I worked on years ago, and they were impressed. And someone said to me, well, Jay, ask it how much the CEO of ConnectWise earns.
I'm not going to get it.
See, I told you I'd make you smile, Kyle. And
that's because Keith beat you to this like on day one.
That's good, because you have to security check. But I said, I a momentary thought there. I said, okay, this could be a career-ending decision. So I typed it. I had my hand on the display adapter so I could pull it if it started to actually give me an answer. And it thought for about 45 seconds, as you may know if you ran that query. And it came back and said there's no public information on how much the CEO of ConnectWise earns. This is proprietary and confidential information. And so you would need to talk to your CEO or human resources if you have a legitimate business case need for the data. Now, the audience applauded.
Mm-hmm.
I took a deep breath. The colleagues that were there with me all were just like, they were like relieved, but also, that uncomfortable
they all took a breath
laughing
together.
They all took a deep breath. Everybody sighed and breathed. And it was good. It's exactly the answer we should have received. And it means that, Keith, your team spends a lot of time with our InfoSec team thinking about these things. So now let me pivot that for 1 second for you. If I'm a partner, how much time did you put into thinking about securing our connections and working with us, our teams, and Microsoft and others as part of your readiness, efforts?
Well, yeah. So we started with maybe this time last year with legal and InfoSec to review all of the documentation we could get from Microsoft, just to say the maybe. And then, like most companies, we had to wait to get it. We got on the waiting list, and as much as preferred as we had to wait until they had the 300 minimum. I think it was October, November. That's when we started our security checks. I had people primed, and people that had been here a very long time, but were also trusted. Here a long time because the real challenge that you have with Copilot, it doesn't expose anything that's not already exposed. You will never see something that wasn't there before Copilot was installed. The challenge you're going to have is that you may have overshared over the years and not remember it. But now you have a fantastic tool to find the things that you forgot that you had access to. So that was why I wanted people that have been here from different roles and around the company. And those 6 people, I told InfoSec, we're going to ask some stuff. And we're going to ask about rumors. We're going to ask about salaries. We're going to ask about all types of things. And everybody just pounded it and pounded it. And it has kind of a safeguard built in, like it knows some things it shouldn't respond about. And it just won't give you that. So I'll give you a piece of information that made me feel a lot better about it. I tried to hack it. So I uploaded a spreadsheet. And instead of using the word salary, I used the word rate. And so so then I could ask it. And I asked it a question, and how much does the CEO make? And it found the line, and it told me. I'm like, oh, man, this thing's not working. But then as I did a couple more queries, their semantic index is what they call it. They realized that when I said rate, I meant salary. I put in the exact same prompt later in that session. And from that point forward, it knew when I said rate, I meant salary. And it said, I'm sorry, I can't answer that question, even though it was my own spreadsheet and I had uploaded it. So these are mechanisms that, to me, I was like, after we did a lot of it, we're like, they've thought this out. And it's got a per user index, which is so much better than a global index. And we could talk about the technical, but we became comfortable with it after about 6 weeks of kind of intense testing.
And I appreciate that you've been part of helping us build out the backends for tools like Sidekick with ConnectWise and others. But Will, a question came in on the chat. I'm going to bring it up from Dan. He said that he uses ChatGPT and Copilot extensively and had been for over a year now. To see this coming to manage ConnectWise PSA now, Dan, we've gone back to old school naming conventions. It's fantastic. It can't come quick enough to us. He's hoping to hear when this will be released, but even more concerned that it might already be available. So what can you tell us about that?
About Copilot and PSA?
No, about ConnectWise Sidekick.
Sidekick and
is
PSA
it available?
Exists. Yes, absolutely.
It does exist.
So it does exist. You can actually do a lot of stuff right within your service tickets within PSA. So you can use it to be able to, very quickly summarize what's going on. Let's face it, as techs, we've all had those times where we have a ticket that we get assigned that is like 40 deep in conversation. None of us want to sit and read it, right? So you can have it summarize that conversation for you. You can even have it do things like suggest a response. You can have it be able to, look at what's going on and give you, suggestions. Other cool things are
it'll do translation.
Yeah, it'll do translation too.
It'll give me that suggestion back or a suggested email response back in Italian.
Yeah,
right? Whatever. Right.
It'll also do sentiment scoring, correct?
Yep. Sure will. Which is really nice whenever you're trying to see those responses and see, hey, is this person happy? Am I getting this person when I call them? Are they going to light me on fire, or are they going to be pretty cool? You can see that right from that ticket. It's really nice.
Hey, Kyle, can you show that?
No.
Using your example, you're still sharing your screen right now. Can you go back to that ticket and look at the sentiment?
Not on this right here. That sentiment is actually in the PSA UI. It's in the web browser.
Okay.
Now, that said, all the stuff that Kyle's doing on his phone is coming from PSA. So you can surface a ton of information from PSA right from Teams on your phone.
And to be fair, I lied. Hold on.
I thought you could.
Show me my day. I'm not 100% sure that this.
It's a live demo.
Well, it's the environment I'm worried about. But let's just go back and look at this ticket.
I love testing things live.
I was going to say, can you tell we didn't rehearse this?
Jay's a little bit of an anarchist.
Overall, sentiment was positive. To be fair, probably should have given me the why, but sentiment was positive. And then stuff like root cause analysis or find similar tickets. I mean, there's these things, and I'll make this point too, Jay. It's as exciting as this is. There isn't there isn't a feature in ConnectWise as a company that has moved as quickly as this has.
Yeah.
We have tried to maintain the same pace that the world is keeping with their engagement with AI because the opportunities are so fantastic, right? The potential time savings are so great. So we have we've been all over this. So this is getting an update on a regular basis. So I mean, you may open it tomorrow and it has something new in it.
In fact, that
And,
frequently happens to me.
Since I'm moving from sales to IT Nation, and next month we have our IT Nation Secure Conference.
Yeah.
I know that what we are doing and what others are doing with AI are going to be major topics in the conversation. So if you don't have plans to attend IT Nation Secure next month, it's not too late. There are still tickets available, and hotels I think are close to sold out, but we've got several neighboring hotels that are there. So you want to go ahead and get in there and get registered as soon as possible, because security and AI are on parallel paths, but they're coming together more than I think anybody's willing to admit. And securing AI is such a big conversation that I know we're going to be talking about across the board. So it's a huge opportunity for us. But okay, so let's talk about hyper automation for a moment. Right? I know I'm not leading this, Will, but I know that these are things I've
you definitely are now.
the last several weeks. So, because you can't elbow me right now, I'm in a safe space. So we've been talking about, robotic process automation, RPA, or business process automation, depending on what you want to call it. And ConnectWise RPA exists in our world today as well, if you didn't know that, Dan and others. And the ability to hyper automate the things that need to be done, the jobs need to be done from a technical perspective. So where are we with that, and what are you guys thinking about that today?
So I cheated, and you asked Will the question. I'm going to jump in and answer it. So we're at the place now with hyper automation where we're actually leveraging, even inside Sidekick, we're going to start bringing suggestions. So I asked the ticket for a recommended resolution, which normally it would give me this rundown of hey, this is how you would solve this problem, right? And you can see in the text, right? These are the steps you might take to solve this problem. Again, this is available inside the ticket as well.
Yeah.
The other cool thing is if there are bots available that align to this and we can get fairly close to that, then we'll make suggestions to bring those bots forward. So take you right to that, resolution. So
so if the ticket was.
So RPA is not AI, but RPA can be AI, and so there's some overlap here that's going to be.
RPA can be enhanced by AI.
Absolutely.
I don't think we can't necessarily say RPA is AI, but RPA can be enhanced by AI, and it really allows us to do more because you can leverage AI to start driving decision making within things like RPAs, right?
Yep.
So real world example, Kyle. Today, if the ticket you had opened up was my favorite client just sent a ticket in because they've hired a new colleague and they need equipment and they need to go and set the user accounts up, then what you're suggesting is that inside this ticket, it might have presented the bot to go ahead and create the user account process, execute that process that's already been created for my favorite client.
Correct.
And the technician can then kick off that action and then make a procurement request to order a new laptop.
Yeah.
Right. The AI makes the association with a routine in RPA, but also even building RPAs themselves will be enhanced with AI over time. Detecting page elements as you try to navigate a UI. So I'm perfectly, I run an RPA team here, and I think that there'll be a lot of convergence of AI and RPA. And I think a lot of people that go looking for efficiencies in AI find RPA, and that's a good thing because there's a lot to be gained there. I do think we need to distinguish them and not say that we're doing AI because we're doing RPA, but I'd also say that it's not wrong that we talk about those two together.
Yeah, they go hand in hand.
Well, and to be fair, like to leverage AI to solve some problem might be extremely over prescriptive, right? Because the reality is the the 6 steps to onboard a new license for fill in the blank, right, are known, right? And they're very clear. I don't need AI to be creative with how it's going to do that. That's a repetitive process that we can automate through an RPA solution. So therein lies some of the difference.
So it's easy for us to talk about these things because obviously we're applying knowledge that we have in that scenario. And sometimes we've gone off on other tangents, but I'd be curious for those that are listening in right now live, how are you using AI and hyper automation in your environments today, either for yourselves or for your clients? What do those conversations look like? And so if you've got any comments there, I'd love to share them because I think this is bigger than just any one of us. In cybersecurity, Will, you've heard me say this, cybersecurity has been a team sport. It impacts every part of our business, every business unit, every product, everything that our partners are doing. We're all in this together to help defend. And I think the learning journey that we're on with AI and hyper automation is also a team sport. So, if you're out there listening in now, what are you wondering about, or what are you using it for today? I'd love to hear that feedback.
Let me give you an example while we're waiting on folks to respond. And yes, we will wait until you respond. I'm just kidding. I'll give you an example. I was on a field trip last week with my middle child, and we went to Raymond James, which is where the Bucks play, and we were literally standing on the pirate ship. And I got a message from a colleague asking me to jump in. It was a 911. Hey, I need you to review, very important, review this PowerPoint or review this information so that it can go out the following week. So they wanted me to review, and it was like 2:00 in the afternoon. So I asked Copilot, which had the file, it had access to the PowerPoint. I asked Copilot, hey, summarize this for me. I asked it a couple key things, summarize for it, give me some general suggestions for each slide. I gave it a list of things that I wanted it to accomplish so that when I sat down to actually do the work, I wasn't starting at zero. So I was able to shortcut my path to delivering his output, what he needed. I didn't ask it to do the work for me. I still had to go in and do it. There's still value with what's inside my brain, at least at this point. But it still enabled me to get there quicker, faster. That's just a real world example of just practical time savings that was not even like very complicated as far as what the AI is able to accomplish and versus the data that it was looking at. It was pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I don't know, Will, can you see that Dan chimed back in with a comment? If not, I'll go ahead and read it.
Go ahead and read it out.
So he said ChatGPT-4 writing scopes of work. Oh my gosh, in all caps. We went from charging small dollars on projects to much higher rates due to our increase in detail on our proposals. The detailed outputs is awesome. It also is a pulse check to the hours that we're estimating, per phase of the project. It severely enhanced our proposals. That's fantastic. And he goes on to say, in Copilot, meeting summaries in real time. I love that. We use that all the time, right? Just to show the to-dos, who's got that.
Top rated or the top just feature in Copilot.
I use that like daily. Like if we're not transcribing, I'm mad at whoever hosted the meeting. Like, turn on transcription. I need Copilot to make my life easier.
Absolutely, 100%. I use it constantly.
And if I sneak into a meeting late, right? Because we never show up late to meetings, but using Copilot to give you a summary of that what you missed the first few minutes might be a cheat we all need to know about, a life hack.
Oh, it's great.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Another real world example, in a conversation with a bunch of colleagues, and of course here at ConnectWise, we deal in licenses, but instead of referring to in that conversation as licenses, somebody made the colloquial phrase butts in seats. And so for the next 5 minutes, we were talking about butts in seats. And I laughed. Keith, you'll appreciate this. I laughed because I thought, I wonder what Copilot's going to do with this. So afterwards, I asked Copilot, hey, what did we learn today about butts in seats? Or what did we learn today about butts? And its response was, well, we didn't learn anything about butts. However, a conversation was had which referred to butts and seats, which was a reference to licenses of software. It fully understood what we were talking about, even though we gave it a huge curveball.
So I get so many chats, and I think I may have given this explanation before, or this example, but I'll go in after this is done, and I've got a team that deploys code. It's all in chat, but it could be pages above by the time I get to it. And I can say, did that deployment go? Or can I say, are there any blockers? And it can, 5 seconds later, it can give me an output on that. And that really saves a lot of time, gives me a lot more insights.
Yeah.
So Jay, we recognize at ConnectWise, we recognize the power of Copilot and the significant place that it's going to play for our partners, not only for them, but it's the literal easy button for deploying AI downstream to client. Hey, Jess, can you go ahead and pull that off the screen? My screen, yeah, my share. There you go. So we recognize the value of Copilot. Mm-hmm. So we aren't shying away from that at all. Like I'm not going to give away the reality here is, but Copilot's fantastic. We would be ridiculously dumb to ignore it. And we are working with Microsoft and what that's going to look like.
Right.
Okay, we just got one more new favorite story. Wait, Keith, hold on for a second. They're gonna love this one. You ready? Dan added one more comment. He said, funny story. Had a team meeting and somebody in the meeting was driving to a client, got pulled over by police and forgot to mute. The summary from Copilot said XYZ was pulled over, was given 2 citations, and told him to always carry his driver's license on his person.
Good job, Copilot. Fantastic. Good job for that reminder.
Yeah. Love that, Dan. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks for sharing that, Dan.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Keith. I interrupted, but it was too funny not to jump in.
No, I was just saying that, we do talk about Copilot. We don't have a financial interest necessarily in talking about Copilot, but we're here to help the MSPs. And ignoring that elephant in the room isn't going to help anybody. And I think where we can find opportunities to mix and match and integrate or enable, we want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Microsoft with Office 365, like they hit a home run, and we didn't even know why they hit a home run, right? At the time, it wasn't relevant to us in all the meaningful ways of why it would be, such a valuable component. But having the Dataverse, have access to what is my business, the data of running my company and my business, those important elements, like it having access now makes it so much more valuable and useful in the business. So there's so many ways where as we continue to move along, Microsoft is just killing it. And Copilot is another example of that. I think last count is it's 34 products. Mm-hmm. I had a conversation with one of their product managers, and he said, it's not one product, right? It is a brand of 34 individual products, but they're doing such a good job of driving uniform experience and outcomes. It's not perfect. It's not great. I'm not a Microsoft fanboy, although I do love what they're doing.
Sure about that?
I am. Well, maybe I am. It's okay. It's okay.
Converting.
They're doing a good job, and not only that, but they are setting up MSPs to deliver very easily some advanced AI functionality that you can manage. So there's some really cool things that I think the average MSP would be surprised if you start just pulling back a couple layers on the top. You'll see that Copilot actually is pretty deployable today.
Yeah, another comment came in, Will. Again, I don't know if you can see this or not. So Rick chimed in and said, ChatGPT has helped him to develop comprehensive frameworks for new managed service offerings. You can also generate images that correspond with the frameworks or specific elements. So there's just, you can use it in every aspect of your day. And I think Jessica kind of sees this a lot, and she does not have to come back on if she doesn't want to. But I hear marketing teams using it to, take those brainstorm ideas that we all had when we were kicking around things and then go put it into a more cohesive thought and framework.
Yeah.
But I'm hearing about partners using it to ideate, using it in that initial stage, like, hey, if we were going to do a webinar or training series, education series on, leveraging X, what might that look like? And let AI engines, the GPT engines, go do that work for us to build out some concepts and ideas and then question it. Matter of fact, I used it recently for developing a potential script, not one that I'm sure we're going to use yet, for a video at IT Nation Secure. It's been in my head forever, and I used Copilot to actually help me build the script of a boardroom conversation that could be turned into a really cool video. Now, that's all I'm going to tell you, but it took me about 20 minutes, and I got what would be an ideal 5-minute video clip. And it went so far as to show me when to pan in, when to pan out, what to focus on, so that I can give it to our creative teams like Garrett. Oh, by the way, thank you, Garrett, for all you do behind the scenes there. He's manning our cameras and making sure these streams work, but would allow his teams to help automate and build out this boardroom scenario, which I think would be a really cool, IT Nation video for us to play with. I think everybody got a kick out of it. It's fun. So you can use it in so many different ways that we haven't even considered using it to get things out of your head and to start driving business value, whether it's building a new managed services framework or, recording the police officer giving your colleague a ticket, all kinds of new benefits we hadn't talked about.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things where the uses are endless, honestly. Like I know in marketing, like you mentioned, we use it for ideation a lot. Like that's 50% of my usage of it is going, hey, throw this idea against a wall. Let's see what comes out. Ideate on that. It really, really helps, especially, when you're trying to just take vast concepts and distill them down into a singular message, into driving just a theme home. It really helps in a lot of those ways as well.
Here's a freebie. My favorite prompt, and how if I'm doing research. Again, I'm responsible for Innovation Lab, right? Which is basically I'm challenged to come up with ideas that are relevant for our partners that will shorten the path for you to do your work, right? So constantly looking at new technology and new tools. But my favorite prompt is having ChatGPT generate 3 experts. Here's the subject. Generate 3 experts that are going to have a conversation about this given topic. Have them formulate, and in the prompt that I have, it's the longest prompt I actually have. It's quite beautiful. It says, hey, take your time, formulate the questions and conversation they're going to have them rethink it, and the output is a discussion between these 3 experts on the subject that I want to explore. So it lets me sit back and have an in-depth window into 3 experts on any given subject that I'm trying to uncover more details about. It's just the perspective from that one prompt changes the way I view multiple things on a daily basis. It's just powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's kind of that's a tee up with what I think is going to be the summer of agency is my prediction. Like the idea that we have a centralized platform where there's an agent that converses with itself before it gives you an answer and can work through a chain of thought or different methods to optimize your result before it gives it back to you. Those type of agents, I think, we're gonna start seeing a lot of that. I think OpenAI and others are going to make frameworks to make that easy for you. Right now, you can do it kind of homegrown. You can do it, but not for the average person. It's for the dedicated. But that'll get more accessible to people. And you take a new model plus agency, and the amount of accuracy gain you get by doing agency is just phenomenal. Then you take a new model that might be more accurate. I think the use cases might explode here shortly that are viable, and the accuracy is viable. So,
and we talked a little bit about this last time, right? Yeah. Agency is without a doubt, and especially in our world with MSPs, I think we're going to benefit from agency. Let's leave it there for now.
All right, guys. So now we're coming up on time. Anybody got any last wrap-up thoughts that they want to share with our viewers?
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing that I would have brought up earlier that it just escaped my mind, my memory wasn't there, was that ChatGPT actually released memory function capabilities. Mm-hmm. So OpenAI released memory. So the ability for ChatGPT to hold on to key nuggets of information that it's learned through interactions with you. So one of the examples that's given on the screen is you just got a new dog. So if you're asking it a question later about, hey, how do I optimize my monthly spend on groceries? It will remember you have a dog and have to buy dog food, right?
I love it.
Stuff like that. So that's really cool. Make sure you check that out. I think that's, again, you'll have a bot that grows to know you.
Mm-hmm.
I think first, for that to be viable, what's called the context window, or how many words you can add into a prompt at a given time, had to grow.
Yeah.
And because how that's working is it's kind of storing that off to the side, and then it's selectively pulling in little bits of your history, whether that's your search history or things about you that questions you've asked or things it's learned, and it's pulling those into your prompt. But you had to have a big prompt for that to be viable. So all these guys are building bigger and bigger context windows, and that's going to open up more and more capabilities for remembering and knowing customizations about you and things. And it's really neat that you can go in and select the things you don't want it to remember.
Yeah.
If you don't want to remember how much you made last year, you can go in there and say, forget about that. And you can take that out of your history. So that's a nice capability.
So it's available now for Plus subscribers to ChatGPT in settings and personalization. You can finally go play with that. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. Jay, any closing thoughts from you? I know we're coming up on time, so I want to give you another second.
Just if you've been slow to start doing these things, deploying it, testing it, securing it, those kinds of things, don't wait, because it's truly a curve jump that we see and know is here. And what it means to our businesses is still a conversation we really haven't had yet. Like what's not only what's it do to help our business today, but where do we see this going forward to help our clients? I think that's going to be a big part of all the things we're talking about and working on over the next several years together. So, just like cyber is a team sport, so is AI. And I look forward to doing this conversation with you guys again.
Absolutely. Everybody, we appreciate you joining us today for our Demystifying AI series. We're going to continue to do this. So continue to watch it and tell your friends about it. All of them. Every one of your friends that you have, tell them to come watch the show. It's going to be great.
And Dan, yes, we'll have somebody contact you about Sidekick. Right?
Yes, we will. So we are going to try and get some additional guests on here in the future as well. So if you know someone who you think would be awesome to have on the show, let us know. Until then, hope to see everybody keeping it classy with AI. Have a great one, everybody.
Thank you.